I went from having one of the happiest and most exciting periods of my life from 12 to 15 years old with girlfriends, right? Travelling around the country, a massive social circle split into 3 different places, and following passions that made me excited to get home, to having one of the most bloody dead boring periods of my life from 16 to 18. No girls, a smaller circle of friends, less memories to look back on and feel fond of. And this realisation made me want to make this video. What actually matters in your teenage years? Because from my experience, brother, it's not trying to build success or trying to get rich or being mysterious or really anything to do with achievements or whatever you're thinking of. I'm going to walk through the only 5 things that mattered in my teens as a 23-year-old right now that led me to having probably hundreds of fond memories. And when I took these 5 things away from, at 16 to 18 years old, my fond memories reduced by like 95%. So watch this video to figure out how to fix your teenage years, because chances are you're doing some of these or not doing some of these things right now. 1. Saying yes to going outdoors. When I was 14 years old, I had 3 different friend groups in 3 different locations. I went to a street dance school where we would constantly be travelling to places like Blackpool, Scotland, random towns and cities. Our friend group would do sleepovers where we'd all go to someone's house, maybe drink. I don't think I was drinking at that point, but you get what I mean. I used to go to this caravan place as well, where other kids near my caravan would constantly ask me to play out, and we'd ride our bikes to different people's caravans, maybe meet some girls. And I had my schoolmates where we'd walk around where we lived a lot, go to each other's houses, play video games, and sometimes we'd be invited to parties. This led to me having so many fond memories of being 14, 2016, and my only regret is I didn't bloody say yes to going out more often. For every 1 time I said yes to going out with people, there was probably 4 times I said no and missed out on getting more memories. See, as a 23-year-old now with different responsibilities from when I was like 14, I now view my teenage years from the perspective of a man and woman talking about their childhood to one another, maybe on a date. Think of it this way. You're on a date with a woman. The girl keeps bringing up all these memories of her childhood with her family and all the fun things she did. Do you really want to be in a situation where you look back at your teenage years and think, well, I don't really remember much? Your teenage years, at least from my experience, is all about experiences and making funny memories. That's it, at least for me. Nothing else is really that important. And I don't regret saying no a lot of the time because I'm still happy with my childhood. But I do know if I said yes 50% more often, I'd only have more funny stories to share. And that's it. And I can't remember much of being 16 to 18 years old because I stayed indoors and I said no all the time. What a waste. 2. Saying yes to things that you don't like doing. Keeping up with what I said, that your teenage years are all about creating experiences and memories for you to talk about in the future. There was this one time when I was 15 where my mate and I were invited by this girl in our school to go to her party. Look, we wasn't close with her and we didn't go to many parties, but for some reason she invited me and there was going to be girls there. What, blimey. But my mate and I on the day said, don't really like those people anyway, should we just not go? And all I can think in retrospect is, what a flid, an actual doink. All that party would have been is another interesting experience, memory. We were just scared of being around girls, but if we forced ourselves to go there, we would have learned something new about ourselves, and maybe have even met our future girlfriends. Alright, I didn't pause for dramatic effect, I just couldn't find where the writing was. There are no scenarios like this where you should genuinely say no to things that scare you, unless, maybe you've been invited to a party where they're bringing weapons. Alright, don't go to that. I actually hated going out as a teenager, but every time I did go out, it was brilliant. Halloween parties, late nights at dancing gatherings. Alright, my mate and I once went to this girl's caravan to meet her and her mate, and it led to a brilliant memory that I will not share. But from 16 to 18, in comparison, I just stayed indoors and stayed comfortable. Fat load of good that was. There's a reason I look back with such fondness at being 14 compared to being 17. At 14, I was always at dance competitions and shows. I was forced by my parents to stay at the caravan park, and I said yes more often to things that I was scared of. Your teenage years will be better off when you start saying yes, even for things that you're scared of. 3. Crossing the line more often. Right, hear me out. There was this one time when I was 13 years old where I made a rap music video with my two mates. We were pretending to be gay, alright, don't ask, but I thought it was a brilliant song and video. I posted it to YouTube, and the next day I was getting made fun of in school. And I heard through my friend that was in the video that the most popular girl in our year was slagging us off in PE. Now, being an angry 13-year-old, I decided to go home that night and record a diss track on her, where I said many things that I will not repeat on YouTube because I fear you will view me differently in a very serious way. I posted the diss track on this popular girl, and the next day, I was called into the deputy head's office and I nearly got excluded for cyberbullying. Was it a proud moment of mine? Probably not. Did I risk crossing the line and ended up creating a very strong memory of something that happened in my teenage years that taught me a lot about myself and the importance of not getting angry over what people think of me? Yes. To me, that's one of the funniest memories of my teenage years. I took risks all the time. I was always chatting shit about people in my year because it was funny, right? Never behind their backs, but to their face or through song. But when I turned 16 years old, I moved to a new school with new people, lost all my confidence, and I stopped crossing the line as often. Now, you can't really afford to do this sort of stuff as an adult because you will get ostracised or arrested. But that's the beauty of being a teenager, mate. You can cross the line and get into shit within reason. Don't hurt anyone. The amount of diss tracks I made on people or giving stick to my school teachers when I genuinely felt they were treating me wrong. And honestly, I actually missed that aspect of myself. The version of me that didn't give a fuck about what people thought. If I wanted to have a go at you, I could, and I would. That's what matters in your teenage years, mate. Constantly crossing the line with your behaviour, within reason, alright, not weird stuff, to figure out where your line is. How far are you willing to go to figure out who you are? And by the way, the girl that I made the diss track on, we actually ended up becoming decent mates, so it's all good. 4. Closing the gap between inspiration and action. One of my fondest memories in my teenage years is the time I developed a crush on this girl called, actually I won't say her name, in my senior school. She was beautiful and she treated me so well. Right? Well, I also love to make rap music, clearly. And I started listening to the rapper Kendrick Lamar around this period of my life. And Kendrick Lamar was known for, and still is known for, making highly conceptual albums where there's branching narratives, characters. Do you know what? To be fair, I'm lying. If anything, it was more Tyler, the Creator's music back in the day that really inspired me to do what I'm about to tell you. But listening to all of this inspirational music, I thought, wouldn't it just be sick if I made an entire rap mixtape on my crush, where I created this whole universe with characters and storylines, and I could slowly hint throughout the mixtape about who this girl was, who did I have a crush on. I could even, with the track list, create song names, which, when played in order, the first letter of each song would spell out my crush's name. I think I was a bit mental, but my point is this. I was inspired to do something, to make something, and immediately I spent the next month doing that thing, which genuinely, mate, led to some amazing memories over the summer in 2015. Some of my favourite memories in my whole life. I posted the mixtape. My crush was genuinely curious as to who the mystery girl was. I revealed it was her, and this led to the rest of school being this weirdly romantic plotline between her and I, like a film. And ultimately, I have loads of fond and heartwarming memories of being 13 to 16 because I made this rap mixtape about my crush. But compare that to being 17 to 18. I had so many ideas and other things like the desire to ask out girls, admit when I had a crush. I had ideas for albums, but I didn't take action with any of them. So can you guess how many memories that gave me? 0. Nil. Again, can you see why this matters in your teenage years? The quicker you can close the gap between something that inspires you and taking action on that thing, the more memorable, heartwarming, and interesting your teenage years will be. When you get a crush on a girl, don't spend 6 months contemplating. Don't even tell your mates yet. Go and ask her out. Want to create a channel? Call of Duty Clan? I don't even know if Call of Duty is like the main thing anymore. Make music? Just do it and do it fast, because it doesn't matter if everything goes wrong. That's not the point. You're not meant to get it right. You've gained the experience which will set you up for a better adulthood. Right? 5. Finally, what matters in your 20s is being open to everyone, even people you don't like. One of my biggest sins of being 16 to 18 years old is if I had the smallest inkling that I didn't like someone, even if they were nice to me, I would shut down any and every interaction with them. If I got invited to a party of someone I wasn't 100% on, I wouldn't go. I ended up having about 3 mates who I love still to this day, but I cut off every opportunity to meet and develop relationships with new people because I had this belief that I had it all figured out, that I don't need anyone. But in retrospect, being 16 to 18 was the most boring period of my life because I wasn't open to letting anyone in. I locked myself away, making music I never released, talking to about 2 people. And some of the best parts of being 16 to 18 was when I finally did take risks and befriend new people. I don't get how at this point in my life, I once reached out to another rapper where I lived, right, a guy my age, and we actually ended up connecting. He came to my house and we made music together. We did a music video, which was fun. Did it work out? No, but that's a memory and experience to be had. I think I took myself too seriously at 17, and I tried to be mysterious, and all it did was create a bloody dead boring period of my life. For me, the only purpose of my teenage years was to go out, try new things, cross the line, take risks, and do exactly what came to my mind, because in no other phase of your life, mate, will you ever get the opportunity to do those things on the same scale. And that's what matters most in your teenage years, in my opinion. Say yes to going out, yes to things you don't like doing, cross the line more often and speak your mind, do stupid things. Close the gaps between when you get inspiration and when you take action on that inspiration. And finally, I just flitted everywhere. Be open to everyone, even if you think you're happy with staying mysterious and only talking to 2 people. Alright? I hope this video helped you in some way. Be gone. Ice Age 4.